Well, so good day, good week three to you all. We're having a great little boot camp here. This is our third week, and we were talking about the new client meet and greet. And the new client meet and greet is designed for folks that have developed some interest in wellness, and somebody decides to join us and enroll in our program. And now you've got the credit card, you've got the form of payment, whatever that is, and you are either already enrolled them or you're about to. And now we want to expose them to one of the most powerful components of our program. And it is community. And so we want to introduce them not only to another client, but your mentor. Because I don't know if you realize it, but all of our mentors are clients. They're clients of somebody. And so we connect them in a three-way call or a three-way Zoom or some type of a three-way conversation with our mentor or somebody in our mentorship team, where they basically review their goals, why they chose to join us, and establish that there's more than just the person that enrolled them, more than just their new coach that's part of their team and that's in this with them at some level. And so I'm super excited about this particular procedure. It does take a little bit more time. It takes a little bit more investment, especially if you haven't been doing it up until now. But it is so worth the time and effort, because down the road, they already know that they're not in this alone. You just proved it. They are exposed to a bit of our coaching community right up front. It is so powerful down the road when that person, if they ever choose to coach somebody else, they already know that community is just what we do. So it's super powerful to get this involved here. So I want to toss this out to the gang here. Have any of you guys, well, actually, Troy, when you've been doing these, have you had some specific experiences of doing this that have been a highlight? Or of the rest of you guys, have you had experiences where you've actually practiced this or walked through this with anybody yet that you'd like to share with the rest of us? Yeah, Clark, go ahead.
I find that, and maybe it's me, but I don't think so, that there's an angst with a new client. What do you mean I'm going to meet somebody new? There's really that hesitation. And it takes a little bit to get them over that. What do you mean I'm going to join a community of 14,000 people?
Right.
You know, so, and it takes a little bit of, no, the wall seems to go up, so it takes a little bit to get the wall to come down again.
Yeah, I've never told them they're part of a community of 14,000 people, so maybe you could just leave that off.
No, that was an exaggeration, but
Yeah.
the size of the group sometimes. Facebook group has 2,000 people in it.
Right.
Or a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, and I say maybe that is your personal experience, and it might be something that you're portraying. Because one of the things that I do is it's how we position it. And the next step in your process is I want to introduce you to another one of the coaches that it's on our team, because community, we talked about so if you haven't talked about community when you're enrolling them or explaining the program to them and how valuable community is, then they aren't warm to the idea. But so you may make sure that you do that then, and then I don't ask them. I just say, well, here's the next step. I'm going to get one of my coaches on the line here, because we're going to show you just a little, expose you a little bit to the community of people that are rooting for you. And it depends on how you set that up. But if they're like, what? I've got a whole team of people rooting for me? Are you kidding me? Like, so it might just be, that's just a little bit of some dialogue there that you might think through, is try to figure out, I wonder why there's some resistance. Is it something that I'm doing or saying, or something I'm not doing or saying? But thank you for the feedback, Clark. Yeah, Maureen, go ahead. Let me unmute you.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi, good morning. I was just going to share what Clark had mentioned. For me, what I've been able to say, like you said, set it up about the community, but also I said you need to know if anything were to happen to me, you're going to be in good hands. And then I noticed a sense of, oh, awesome, because something could happen to me. And I
Mhm.
want them to know that they're going to be in good hands and that they're going to continue on their journey. So I just
Mhm.
wanted to share that.
Mhm.
That might
Yeah,
help.
that's good. Well, I've had coaches that went on maternity leave. They had a baby and they went on maternity leave. And guess who coached them while they were out? Me, right? And so that was a very practical way in saying, if you're just out for a week, it's not a big deal. But if you're out for 6 weeks, you probably need to have someone fill in for you. Excellent. Anybody else have experience? Yeah, Isabel. I'll unmute you.
Um, it was on Saturday right after we did our Zoom. It was a couple actually, a husband and wife, and my mentor and I got on the line, and they were so excited that they had additional support. They were just so happy that they said, like, what, we have somebody who's gonna be. I go, yeah, if there is ever, like, pretty much what Maureen said, if there's ever a time when I'm not available, I want you to know that there's multiple people cheering you on. And they were so excited to tell their stories, and they kind of came in through the back door because they were referrals from Take Shape. So I didn't know these people at all. I have no personal connection with them at all. And so just being able to do their well-being evaluation and get them connected in the community, and there was kind of a congratulations for her because he started a week later, so we're doing another kind of the follow-up one. They were excited to find out about how to refer. They're just all these little pieces that they had no clue about because they came in through the back door and ordered kits and didn't talk to anybody.
Hmm.
So they were very excited that this was a lot more than just a diet.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he had done the 30-10. So he had some of the mindfulness piece, but he didn't have the support piece. So they're very, very excited about this. And actually, when I mentioned convention, they were like, oh, we'll have to talk about that. And,
Mm-hmm.
it was just kind of like, it opened a lot of doors, introducing them to my mentors,
Mm-hmm.
and telling them that they had a deep um, mentorship line, that they had a lot of people they could pull in. So it worked out great for me, especially someone I had no clue who they were or how they came about. It
Right.
was a great
That's
tool
great.
to figure out how did they decide to do this, and
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff, because they
Well,
didn't
they
get the
came in.
benefit.
They came in through referral, knowing that there was something out there, that there was a process and a person, and now they said, "Whoa, man, there's more." Oh,
Yes,
great
right.
job, great job. I mean, think about it. For someone to take interest in somebody else, for a stranger to take interest in another stranger's journey, because they're actually have something in common. That coach that you introduced them to is also on their personal health journey, and they're working on, they're not one of us, and I know it's true. If you go to our wellness retreat, otherwise known as convention, and you talked, I dare you to interview people. Go up to them and say, I have one question for you. Are you as healthy as you want to be in all three areas of the trilogy? And if you get a yes, you come tell me, because I bet you not one person will say yes. So you have this other person that's a coach, but still's not as healthy as they want to be, and they're working on stuff, and they're doing it together. And you bring this other person in that says, I'm like you. Tell me now, what is it that you're looking to do? Oh, that's great. I mean, taking a sincere interest in someone else. We need more of that. A sincere interest, not, a calculated, insincere interest. Um, yeah, it's just, that's a good thing. And so we're going to model that right now. We're going to practice walking through this particular, um, we call it a script, but it's really just it's a way of organizing words so that we make sure that we cover important content. And the basic gist of it is, I'm going to share my screen just so you guys got to get an overview of really what's happening in this conversation. So you start off set up before the meet and greet. So this is the setup. And so you congratulate them on their decision to join us. This is the coach. So they say yes, and you're like, oh my, congratulations. This is a really big decision, and then you set the expectation for what's coming. So down the road here, this is going to start making a difference in the way that you show up in the world, the way that you look. You're going to begin to notice, you're going to begin to start melting away, and people are going to notice. When that happens, here's what to do. I can give you a $25 credit when they sign up, or many people choose to partner with their friends and teach them what they're learning by becoming a mentor or coach. So we can talk a little bit more of that later, but if that's an interest, I definitely want to let you know that it's possible for you to help them. And then you basically say, hold on a second, let me see if I can get my mentor on the line. And if you can, great. If you can't, there's a little note here that, okay, well, they didn't answer and they weren't expecting my call, but I'm going to start I'm going to see if I can get them going here in the next 24 hours, and we'll get you connected to the rest of your team. And then once you get them on the line, and all three of you are, then you go into the interview. And make sure the first part is the introduction. And I want you guys to think about the introduction. When you introduce, so here's an example of what not to do. So I have a background in athletics and setting world records and doing some of that kind of stuff. And so if I'm talking to a stay-at-home mom and my coach introduces me and talks about all this sports history, it's not relevant, right? It's neat and it's interesting, but it's not relevant. And so when they introduce me, it's the basic things are, here's someone that's helped me in my journey, especially when times have gotten tough. And so I wanted to introduce the two of you because I want to make sure that you are well connected with the rest of your support team. And then you just say, Maureen, meet Allison, and then stop talking. And so think about why you're introducing, who you're introducing them to, and work on developing your introduction. There's something to that, and when it's going wrong, when the person's nervous and it's just going down a rabbit hole and it's a train wreck. That. I see a lot of you nodding your heads because you've either done it or it's happened to you, and you're like, they don't know where to go. We're just sort of flying around with these words, and so that first piece should be 20 seconds. It's, hi, Isabel, I wanted you to meet my coach, Troy. He's been a big help in my journey. Troy, meet Isabel. Boom. Right? And then the mentor coach comes in. Boom. Ask him, so tell me, man, I'm excited you're joining us, blah, blah, blah. Tell us what you're going to do and what you want to accomplish. And then let them share. And then you're almost done now. I mean, you're like, just, okay, so you said this. You're in great hands. Hey, let's connect again in the future, maybe a week or so, blah, blah, blah. And you're done. Click. So this thing is super simple, super light, and it's just a blush of the community. Now, in about the 5 pound mark, 7 to 10 days later, that's a little bit more involved. But what's happened in that time? They've gotten into fat burn. They've gone through the night before. They've gotten through day 1, day 2, day 3, usually day 4. So they have more sort of familiarity with the mentorship. And now you come in with a 3-way call, and there's a lot more dialogue. That's a little bit different conversation. So any questions as we get started here with this? We're going to break out. And we're going to do some of these together. No? Okay. So I'm going to slide you into rooms of 2 to 3 people. And so, and if you can, go through this a couple times quickly and then switch it up. So just choose your roles when you get into your room. I'm the coach. I'm the mentor coach. I'm the client. And the people that's the most critical thing is the coach needs to do the introduction. That's really critical, but there's only one piece that you're part of. You're kind of in and out. And then when you're the client, You may not go on and on about all these things because it's sort of just name a couple of basic things, and then let the mentor coach, the person that does the most training in this is the mentor coach, because they're the one doing, they're listening, they're regurgitating back to them what they said, and then they're kind of setting up the future. So the mentor coach, make sure that everybody is the mentor coach at least once in this, because that's the intros is probably, the mentor coach is number one, and the intro is probably number two as far as the value and the importance of this. All right, guys? So let me see here. Let's get us going in 2 to 3 people per room. Create breakout room. All right, we're going to give you guys, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes. Try to get everybody around the horn, all right? Get after it. Go for it, guys.
How are you this morning, Craig?